Hey everyone, welcome to the product briefing series of the Hunt Club podcast. This is where we dive deep into our technology and explore what it really means for the security team. If you've been enjoying our content, don't forget to like and subscribe. So today we will talk about using metadata to hunt for IoC, indicator of compromise. My name is Tiffany Nip, product marketing manager at Vectra AI, and I'm joined by Julian, our security engineer at Vectra AI. Julian, do you want to say hi again?
Sure. Hi, everyone. And hi, Tiff. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah. Do you mind giving us a quick intro as well of yourself?
Of course, of course. Yeah, I've been with Vectra now for 3 years, and most of it actually was in a different role than the security engineer. I've been part of the MDR team here for the past 2.5 years, as a security analyst, of course, but also a point of contact for the customers, discussing our findings. And now I take this experience into, my new role as a security engineer.
Perfect. So let's dive into it. Let's go to the next slide. So we are going to talk about the second use case of using metadata to support threat hunting and investigation today. Julian, do you mind walking us through a little bit more about how you helped security teams or even our customers hunt for IoC and risky user actions in their environment?
Yeah, I think like threat hunting is a bit of like a more advanced use case that a lot of like smaller, less mature customers are maybe only like dabble into once in a while. And of
Yes.
course, bigger, more mature organizations, they might even have a dedicated threat hunting team specialized for that kind of activity. And like in the gist of it really is to like gather IOCs that you think are relevant for your organization and then hunt in all kinds of data you have for any indicators that you might have already been or have a vulnerability exploited. Or
Yeah.
another part of it, of course, is also to verify your exposure to a new vulnerability. So maybe it wasn't exploited yet, but of course, you might want to get ahead of the attackers and close the vulnerability if it's even relevant for you before it's exploited.
Yeah. Makes sense. And it's also the way we design the capability is for organizations with all size. Even if you have a strong threat hunting team, it will help you speed up your threat hunting. But if you also have limited resources, we also have a lot of quick start examples to help you get into it and stay ahead of attackers as well.
Yeah, like stay ahead of attackers is really kind of the name of the game here. It's a much more proactive approach to cybersecurity than your regular like detection and response.
Mm.
And for my part, I think one of the most challenging parts of threat hunting is actually not the hunting itself, but identifying the IOCs you want to hunt for. So what's relevant for your organization and also what's kind of high quality IOCs that are really reliable and don't generate a lot of false positives. And there, of course, there are a lot of sources out there where you can get valuable IOCs from, can be blog posts, threat
Mhm.
reports, even especially for threat hunters and threat intelligence professionals. I think it's very important to be or have a very good connections within the security community because a lot of the IOCs are actually, I would say, like maybe shared not very publicly, especially at
Mm.
first. So
Yeah.
if it's really like a matter of minutes or hours, it's good to have like very good connections in the community. And then of course you can buy IOCs from commercial sources as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, for this one, I just brought two more examples I have here on the slides. This first one actually is like not very like, or both of them are not particularly like recent or up to date, but I chose them because I had like actual findings with these IOCs of true positive compromises within customers of the MDR service.
Right.
This first one here is a blog post on Rapid7's website about a vulnerability within the WS-FTP server implementation that was relevant in 2023. And for us as like a product specialized in the network, this blog post is actually at first like not so helpful, I would say, because it goes on a lot about processes, file paths, so more kind of the endpoint focused IOCs and techniques. But then in this little paragraph that I have here on the slide, it contains two domains that the like attackers or the malware will usually or used during the campaign back then to load additional malware and additional stages to progress in their attack. And yeah, these two domains are of course something we can search for in our metadata. And for that, I would just go to the generic iSession data stream, where you have an entry for every kind of network session that's taking place, and search in the response domain field. So I set a filter response domain is any of, and then one of these domains. And yeah, then you usually hit search, and the thing with threat hunting is that you don't really want to find anything, so you hit search and hope for getting back no results.
Yes, of course.
And yeah, then the next one is more about testing your exposure to a vulnerability. This is about this. It was a pretty popular also in the news. The vulnerability has been known since 2021, but I think it was in the news in, I think even 24 or 23. So the vulnerability has existed for quite some time, but then, it got more relevant as a certain group was exploiting it for a ransomware campaign. And that's when it came up. And the vulnerability really is not very severe in a way, as in the description it says a malicious actor residing with the same network segment as an ESXi host that has port 427 open is able to do this and that. So they need to be in your network in the same segment, is at least if you go by the description of the vulnerability. But the problem here was that a lot of organizations actually had all of their, or at least some of their ESXi hosts exposed to the internet. For certain reasons, there might be applications on there that need certain connectivity to the internet, and they just opened up everything, maybe. And if your ESXi host is, of course, exposed to the internet, suddenly basically everyone, of course, also all malicious actors are residing within the same network segment and can just access and exploit this vulnerability from wherever they are located. So what you want to do or might want to do is check if your ESXi hosts actually have communications on this port that is like going to the internet or coming from the internet, is instead of staying local. And that's something you can do within Vectra, also just by, of course, setting the filter for the response port, in this case 427. And then what Vectra is doing is setting or giving you these flags here, where we are enriching the metadata in a way that is giving us the opportunity to filter here just for local origin is false. So the communication is coming from the outside and not from our local network. And the local response is true. So the ESXi host is located inside and is responding from the inside. And these flags are actually aware of your configuration of what is local or inside your network and what is outside that you put into your Vectra brains configuration. So if you are excluding certain IP ranges that are usually considered internal from your configuration, they will also be considered external here for this flag. And yeah, you can of course also take a bit of another approach, and instead of filtering on the port, just saying, yeah, I know all my ESXi hosts, they contain ESX in their name, or some other pattern that makes them searchable here. And then I might want to just verify or audit all the outgoing communication from my ESXi hosts, no matter what the port is. So just to get a better view of what actually is happening here on the wire.
Got it. And if you are interested in other vulnerabilities, to know like your exposure to other vulnerabilities, do stay tuned of our upcoming content. We do aim to provide lists of safe search or a way for you to check your exposure based on the latest threat that we've been seeing. For example, like the latest one was Fault Typhoon. So stay tuned on that. Julian, I know you have one more examples to walk through in the platform.
Yeah, I have one more, and it's an example I think is pretty interesting in the sense of, or in the field of threat hunting. It doesn't always need to be like a very specific IOC, of course. You can also
Yes.
hunt for just in general like behavior or activity that brings a certain risk with it, no matter if it's confirmed as malicious or not in the moment. And one example for that is, just downloads of executable files. And especially if that's happening over HTTP, it's certainly, like I would raise an eyebrow for sure, if I'm seeing something like that, because it's a very common technique for attackers to either externally or after they gain a foothold in the environment, they will host just a simple HTTP server as kind of a repository of attack tools that they are bringing with them. And yeah, then like if I see a download on port 80 and or like it's hard to say download, but I'm just checking if the URI, so the path basically that is accessed, if this has a file extension of an executable. And in this case, in our demo platform, actually, we see some pretty interesting examples here. Some external entity is hosting these files on an HTTP server, and our internal host here at JumpStation 5 is accessing them. And from how many bytes the response is long, I think we can already quite confidently say that there's a download that's happening and not just kind of a quick lookup or something. And yeah, this is also a good point to like bring in maybe or give a sneak peek of an upcoming feature, because in here with these kind of quick filters that we have here, it's very convenient, but sometimes it's also slightly limiting because I would like to search for more than one executable file type, of course, and I can't really do that here. So within the next few updates, we are, where is it? There it is. We are going to see an addition to the UI, this button here saying advanced, so I can switch over to an advanced mode for investigate. And then this lets me search in a more like SQL-like query language. And I prepared this one here. So here I would say I want to see everything from the HTTP metadata again, and then I want to have anything where the URI ends with ps1.exe.bat and so on. So I can search just as many file types I want. And of course, this also gives a lot more flexibility in other use cases.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's this one. And I just gathered a few more use cases from my experience, but also from my talks with my colleagues that came to mind and are interesting in this kind of scenario. Of course, the IOC one that expands to all different kinds of IOCs, but there's a lot more behaviors and activities that you can find and search for within the metadata.
Cool. Thank you so much. Super helpful again, and just walking through all the examples and how security team can use the platform to hunt for the known and unknown actions by the attackers. So that's the wrap of this episode. Thanks, Julian, for joining us again, and thanks everyone for tuning in. If you find that helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, drop a comment. Let us know what you think. And do check out our other videos where we talk more about the different metadata use cases as well, which I'll link it on the screen. And with that, hope to see you in the next deep product deep dive. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.